Hello and welcome to the first tour through the Power BI interface. And this is actually a brush-up video concerning the next video, because Power BI is a software which is under constant development, okay? So I thought in 2019 it makes sense just to give you a brief overview or a new video about really the interface itself, because a few things have changed. However, all the things we do in the course, so all the DAX calculations and so on, these are still valid and up to date, okay? So just that Power BI releases a few new features in each video, and these features I simply want to show you, just in case you have the newest version of Power BI and, well, you want to see, of course, what is available, okay? So if you start and open Power BI, the first, screen you should see is this one here. And what you see here is simply on the left the files you have worked in the past, so the recent files you worked with. You can click on Get Data, and you see recent sources. The recent sources, again, are those files in here, okay? Get Data, just if you want to import data into Power BI. However, you do not need to click it here. You also have the option to go in here within the Power BI interface and click on Get Data, simply to get the latest amount of data into your Power BI report, okay? So any kind of data source. So beside this, on the right here, you can still see what's new. So if you want to have, a few lines of information about the latest updates, you can read there. You also have a Power BI blog, the forum, and additional tutorials in case you need them. So you can also sign in. So if you have an account on Power BI, you can sign in here, and then you're simply logged into Power BI. Currently, I'm not signed in. You can see it here, but I could also click on here, this up here, and click on sign in. And I will also get the option to sign into my Power BI account. Okay. So I simply close this now, and this is actually the interface you're going to start with. So just in case you can't see everything here, for instance, this filter pane here, what you need to do is you go to File. In Germany, it's called Detail, but you go to File, and what you can do is you go to Options and Settings, and there is the Options, and then you have a lot of different kinds of options. You can adjust Power BI, for instance, the cache amount and so on. But the main point I want to show here is you can go to Preview Features, and then you can add or select all the preview features you want to see and want to use, because some of them are by default disabled, so you probably won't see them. Okay, and I just wanted to make sure that I enable all the preview features which are available currently, just to show you everything within the new Power BI interface. Okay, so I close this, and just in case you enable those, what you need to do then is you need to close Power BI one and reopen it just to see all those features. Okay, so then this is what the Power BI desktop actually looks like. And what you can see here is we have different kinds of views here, if you like. We have a report view. The report view is this one here by default, and this is where you actually create your reports, okay? Where you create your visualizations and when you basically show at the end of the day to your audience. Then we also have here this data view. If you click on this, then by default currently you can't see anything because we have not imported data so far. But what you would see here is simply the table. The specific table you have currently selected would appear here. And this is something you see during the course, okay? Just in case, I just want to tell you at the beginning now, this is what you will see here, okay? The tables. But as I said before, we will see this during the course. So in addition to that, we have the relationship view. So the relationship view will actually show you your model in Power BI. So you have, just think of, you have different tables, and those tables are somehow connected. For instance, you have a sales table, and then you have a product table with the product IDs, and those are connected, and you will see your whole model through the relationships within this window. Then, as a preview feature, if you enable this, these are the relationships 2, I call them, because this window here gives you more flexibility. Because at the end of the day, you might have a really big model in Power BI. And if that's the case, it might be a little bit cluttering, okay? And if you only want to highlight a relationship between certain tables, or you only want to see part of your whole model, then what you could do is you go in here, and then you can simply drag the specific tables you want to see here. And then you have also the option to click here and create additional table views. So let's say you want to break your model into 3 different views. You can simply create 3 layouts here and show only parts of your whole model. Because in the default relationship window, you will always see your whole model. And as I said before, if you have a really big model with a lot of tables, it might be a little bit cluttering, okay? But that's all. It's kind of sugarcoating, if you want, this one here. Okay, so beside this, within the window here in the Power BI interface, we have a lot of options up here. So what we can do under Home, of course, is, as I said before, we can here also click on Get Data. If you do this, if you click on it like that, just this window appears, and then you can simply select the specific data source you want. And you can see by default Excel, CSV files or text file, JSON file, and so on, or a complete folder. These are the default ones you can import. And of course, there are a lot of options here, okay? Like also SQL Server, analysis services, Oracle databases, IBM, Postgres, SAP, SHP, HANA, and so on. So a lot of different options also from the cloud, so Azure as well, and so on, okay? So if you search for certain things, you could also simply type in here, and then of course this list gets filtered, okay? Or if you know specific, for instance, you know it's under Azure, you can simply click on here and you find the Azure options here, okay? So let's get data. So as I said before, a lot of options here. Simply select the specific option you want and then import your data. And as I said before, this is something we do in the next part of the videos, okay? So that's to the get data. Then we also have here recent sources. So if you have connected, for instance, the last time you opened Power BI, you can simply go in here and then select the source you had there if you want to do that. You could also enter data here. So if you want to enter your data here in a table, for instance, you want to create your own table, simply you have the option to click on enter data here, and then you can create your own table here. And all you need to do then is name your table here, and then you can click on load, okay? And then basically the table is loaded into Power BI. You can also click on edit. If you click on edit, then you go into the Power Query editor. So if you want to simply further adjust your table, but this is also something we will see. So we will learn a lot about the Power BI editor, or the Power Query, if you want to know it, call it this way, later in the course. Okay. I click on cancel now. So what else? We have the option to edit queries. This is exactly what I mentioned. This is if you click on this one, a new interface will open. This is this one, and this is the Power Query editor. So this is actually where you do all the data transformation. So oftentimes your table is not in the right structure, so maybe you need to pivot your data, or there is a few you want to simply remove a few lines of your table, or any kind of cleaning steps. All these steps are really then done in Power Query editor. Again, this is something you will learn during the course. Okay, so I close this now. Then what else do we have? We can, well, this is only one report, so only one window. So if you want to create additional, sites in your report, all you need to do is click on new page here, or you can also click on the plus symbol here. So it works exactly the same. Click on it and you got a second page here. Okay, you can also do it here if you like to do it. So this is something also which is really common in Power BI. So often you have different kinds of, or more than one option to simply do or reach the exact same goal you want to have. So as I said before, you can click on this one or this plus icon here. What we also have is a visual. So if you want to create a visual, you can click on this new visual, but also you have the option to simply select one of the visuals, the default visuals you can see here, okay? These are the default visuals. Beside this, you can click on this ... symbol here, simply to import a visual from a file. So if you have already downloaded the visual, you can import it here, and the visual itself is written in JavaScript, so you can create your own visuals, or you can also import visuals from the marketplace, okay? And these visuals are for free. All you need to do is, oftentimes if you want to import it from the marketplace here directly into Power BI and not download it first, you need to sign in first, okay? But then you have the option to import a new visual from the marketplace, just in case those default visuals which are available here are not sufficient. So you want to have additional visuals and visualizations. You could also do it here, so this exactly is the same. So click on from marketplace, and then new window opens, and then you can select a specific visual or search for a specific visual you want to use, okay? So beside that, we have here, this is new. This is something I do not cover in the next video, where I also show, the interface itself is the buttons. So the buttons is a new feature in Power BI. So what you could do is you can simply click on it, and then you can select the specific button you want to insert. For instance, I'm currently on the page 2 because it's highlighted here. So I can say I want to create, for instance, a back button. So I click on this back button, you can see this little back navigation appears. And now if I hold Control key and click this button, I get back to page 1. You can see now page 1 is selected. Okay, so this would be an option to create buttons just for navigation purposes in Power BI. You could also, as I said before, there are a lot of options, so a lot of different kinds of buttons: an information button, a help button, a Q&A button, and so on. And the great thing is that you really can adjust those buttons, okay? Currently it's a back button here, but I could also, for instance, create a new button here and can say I want, for instance, use this information here. So click on this, and all I need to do is I simply drag this information button somewhere here, place it here, and then currently it's an information button. But if I click on the visual itself, here I got the option to adjust different kinds of things. For instance, the color, the icon itself, and so on. So a lot of options, the fill option, and so on. But what I can also do and adjust is the action here. And that's a great thing, because I can simply click on this, and of course I need to turn it on first, and then I could simply switch different kinds of actions I have. For instance, I could also say the action should be back, and if I do this and hold Control key and click on the information button, now I also get back to the first page, okay? So I could make actually each of the buttons which are available here, I can make them, well, I can adjust the action the button actually is doing. That's interesting, because before we had those buttons, we had to use the shapes. So we could use shapes, and then we also were able to adjust or put an action on a specific shape. But now with the buttons, it's much easier, and actually they have a really cool design, at least from my point of view, so we can use them just to navigate through our report. Okay? So then, for instance, a text box and image, I think those things are clear. So all you need to do is, for instance, if I put this here, go to page 1, insert a text box, and then I can simply place it here and type in some text. For instance, hello and welcome to the Power BI masterclass, okay, like that, for instance. And I can highlight this, simply click Control A, for instance, and then I can make this a little bigger from the size, like that. And I could also make it bold, for instance, and I also can adjust the colors here, for instance, and just make it a little bigger, like that. And if I want to simply drag and drop it on the screen, so on my pane, simply click on these 3 ... For instance, if you click on this, you can see more options, but if you hold Control, just simply click on it, you can simply drag and drop it and place it somewhere, okay? And this is something, you might see it here, like that. Those little red dotted, the red dotted line here. Hopefully you can see it. And this is something which is also new in Power BI. Of course, all of you who are familiar with PowerPoint know these lines, and probably, like myself as well, love these lines. This is also a great thing, because this helps you actually to make a report what we call pixel perfect, right? So for instance, if I now select a new text box here, and then I write, for instance, this is my second text box, like that. And again, I make this a little bigger so you can see it. So I'll make this 42, and maybe adjust the color in here. So like that, make it bold as well, and maybe underline it like that, and just drag it a bit bigger, like that, and just make this a bit bigger. And I can see if I, again, use them to place it, you can see that now I can adjust this. For instance, put it exactly here in the middle, considering my first headline, right? So these options here, so these red lines are really, really helpful just to place the visual. Not only, it doesn't have to be a text box like that, could be each of the visuals. Simply click on the report here on a blank screen here, and then simply select specific visual, and you can simply drag and drop it, and those red lines help you simply to put actually the visual in the specific place you want to put it, okay? Again, pixel perfect reports, which is really, really helpful in this case. Okay, beside this, we have the option to switch the theme here, okay? So by default, we have, as you have seen here, if I select this and I want to adjust the colors, these are the default colors in Power BI. And at least from my point of view, I do actually not like this theme, but you have the option to switch the theme here. So click on Switch Theme, and you can adjust those and use the these are by default available. For instance, I can click Sunset if I do this, and now I click again on my text here. So select it, and then I, for instance, click in here. You can see now I have different colors in here, because the color palette itself for the whole report has adjusted to the new theme, okay? But beside the default ones, you have also the option to import a theme. You can either take a look at the theme gallery. This is also the same as for the marketplace for the visuals. The themes are free, which are available there. It's a JSON file. All you need to do is download the new theme, and then you simply import the theme and navigate the specific file path where you downloaded the theme, and then you have a new theme. Of course, you can also create your own theme, and here you have the option how to create your own theme, and this gives you a few more details about that. It might be interesting in case you work for a specific company, and of course you have your company colors, right? And then you might want to use those just to create your report. Okay. Beside that, here we have the managed relationships. The managed relationships itself here, as you just hover over it, and you can see add, edit, or remove relationships between tables. But this is something you can also do if you go to the relationship window, okay? Again, several options at the end of the day to do the same thing in Power BI. What we also have under Home is new measure, new column, or new quick measure. So the new measure, this is something we will work a lot when we create the DAX measures in this course. This simply means we can create a new function in DAX. And the new measure is also available if you go to modeling, and then you can also type in here new measure. Click on this and you also create a new measure. Okay. So what else? Is there something left? Only one thing, this publish option. So as soon as you're done, you have finished creating your report, you can do publish your report. And there is a difference between the Power BI free version, so Power BI Desktop Free, and Power BI Desktop Pro, if you like. But just in case you think about the difference, actually there is no difference concerning the Power BI itself. So Power BI Desktop for Pro and for the free version, there is no difference. It's actually exactly the same version, okay? Power BI Desktop is a free tool. However, the main difference between Pro, so if you pay for Power BI, and also the free version, is the publishing options. Because if you want to publish something, well, if you want to share it with the whole world, then of course you can use Power BI free. So there's no problem with that. You can simply publish it in the cloud. Power BI or Microsoft itself is hosting this, and basically the whole world is able to see your report. But if you want to publish your report within your organization and only allow certain people to take a look at those data, for instance, because it's confidential, right? Then you need pro licenses. And not only you as the report creator, but also the people who watch your report need to have a pro account. Or you need to have Power BI Premium. This is an additional feature which companies might want to purchase. Okay, but just remember the whole difference is if you want to publish it on the internet to the whole world, there's no difference between free and pro. But if you want to publish it within your organization and only want to show it to specific users, then you and the other people need to have a pro license, or you need to have Power BI Premium. Okay. Beside that, in the interface, we have the view option. The view option is great in this case because we have here the phone layout. So if you click on phone layout, this is just what I want to show you here, is you can see we get this phone layout here, and we get also visualizations. So currently we only have, of course, these two text boxes. But let's think about you created a report with 20 different kinds of visuals. Then you would see all your visuals on your report, on each of the report pages within here, okay? And then what you can do is you can adjust actually the phone layout of your report, because all you need to do is you simply select a specific visual and simply drag and drop it and place it here, okay? For instance, this one, and then I can make it a little bit bigger and so on. And all you need to do is then you select the next one and maybe place it somewhere like that. Place it somewhere like that, because here's the first one, okay? They can't overlap, but simply and then make the second one, and so on. So what this allows you actually, and that's the great thing, is that you can create a really big report within Power BI, which you may be sharing with your colleagues, but then you might also want to share parts of your report with, for instance, the management, okay? So, and your manager, he or she only needs specific visualizations, or data. And then all you need to do is actually select the specific visualizations you have and simply drag and drop it and place it here. And your manager only needs the Power BI app, and then you can send it basically, send him or her the report, and then he or she can watch actually the report or your findings on their mobile device. Okay, it's pretty easy. As I said before, all you need to do is select the specific visual and simply drag and drop it and place it somewhere here. Okay, and of course all this is also also a filterable, because all you need to do is then click on a specific visual and all the data gets filtered. Okay, so this is also interactive, if you like, so the report on the mobile device. Okay, so if I go back to my desktop layout, simply click on this and I'm back in my desktop layout. And beside this, as I said before, we also have the modeling tab here, where we can, as I said before, here create a new measure, also a new column. These features are also available in the home tab here, up here. And then we also can create a new table here. If I click on this, we also have the option to create a new parameter. So if I click on new parameter here, then I get this what if parameter. I can name my parameter. I can say what kind of data type it is, and I can say set a minimum and a maximum and an increment, and then I can add a slicer to the page. So for instance, I click OK now. I use the default settings, and then what you see is here, you see this parameter in here. And if I select it, and you can see now I get my parameter here, and then I can simply use the slicer here just to get specific values in here. So hopefully you can see it. It's a little bit small, I know, but this is how easy it is to create a parameter. And then we can link this parameter within our DAX formulas. Then, for instance, if I select here, for instance, let's say 5 for instance, and this is linked to our top customers, then we can simply use this and make the dynamic only show the top 5 customers, or if I use this and use the top 10 customers and so on, okay? So this is one option to use parameters. And as I said before, we will do this within this course, okay? So stay tuned for that. Beside this, what else do we have here? Well, we have here different kinds of formatting options. These we will also use them just in case we want to, for instance, show specific currency. We can do that here, or percentage figure, use a percentage sign here, and so on. Beside this, what we have here is manage roles and view as roles. This gives us the security options. So, for instance, you create your report, and then you create a report with data of the whole world, but then you want to basically show this report to other people in your organization, for instance, the United States team, but the United States team is only allowed to see US data, for instance. Then we can create different kinds of roles here, and this is pretty easy, and then we can specify, for instance, our US colleagues are only available to see US data, and our European colleagues only see European data, and so on, okay? So this is something we can do here, and then we also have the option, after we created the roles, to view the roles. So then we can simply take a look at the specific roles and see whether our security settings are actually in place. Okay. The help actually is pretty simple. All you find here is really any kind of help in case you need it, and I'm not able to help you, or no one else on the internet or in your organization is able to help you, you might find here additional options to get the help. The formatting here, also, this is something we will work with. This is something you might be familiar for PowerPoint. So bring forward, send backward. This is about the visuals, or align the visuals. For instance, align them to the right or to the left, and so on. Okay, distribute them horizontally, vertically. All these options are available in PowerPoint. So this is nothing new to you, I guess. And data drill here, this is the last one. There we can create a drill through. These options are also covered within the Power BI Masterclass series. So this is all I wanted to tell you here about that. Okay, so that's it about actually the new interface in Power BI. So just there are a few additional things here concerning the next video. As I said before, the next video is still there, so I'll leave it there because it was the original introduction in the Power BI interface. But as I said before, Power BI of course is working on the Power BI desktop itself and creating new features and releasing new features, and this is why I wanted to make this update. So hopefully everything is clear to you, and I can't wait to see you in the next couple of videos when we actually dive into Power BI and learn all about DAX measures, calculations, and create stunning reports. Okay, so stay tuned for more.